41 hearing impairment 唔識背住先啦，估 hearing impairment and other auditory 係聽覺嘅意思，聽覺的 auditory function 一啲作用 deficiency 即係deficit 即係唔夠咯，赤字或者解差嘅意思，即係唔夠咯，聽力唔夠咯。In young children can have a major impact， 間低 have a major impact， 成組記咗佢，一定跟on嘅 have a major impact 跟on嘅。The development of speech and communication resulting in 間低導致 detrimental 有害嘅，即係 damaging effect on their ability to learn at school. This is likely to have 好可能 be likely to 好可能 possible 意思 have major consequences 後果呢個 consequences 呢個後果係負面嘅後果 negative consequences for the individual and the population as a whole. Population 即係所有嘅人口，即係所有嘅人，社會上所有嘅人 individual 每一個人啊。New Zealand Ministry of Health has found research carried out over 2 decades 係20年 over 6 to 10% of children in that country are affected by hearing loss。 quote 到突然之間 quote 咗一個 example 就係紐西蘭有6至10% 嘅小朋友原來佢哋聽力係有問題，咁作為一個例子去 support 就係話有 hearing impairment 或者 auditory function 嘅小朋友咧，對於佢嘅 development 乜嘢 development 咧就係講嘢 speech communication 溝通咧係有影響，而呢一樣嘢咧喺佢哋學校學嘢咧係有負面嘅影響，而最尾影響到社會就係第一段重點。preliminary 即係初步咯，未必好深入。preliminary in New Zealand has shown that President Perfect has shown that classroom noise presents a major concerns for children and pupils 咁撈亂 people P-E-O-P-L-E 係人 pupils 係學生，唔係所有 people 都係 pupils， 係 pupils 肯定係 people。 A modern teaching practices organization of decks in the classroom for classroom acoustic， 即係一啲聲學嘅嘢，關於聲音嘅 mechanical means， 呢個 means 唔係解意思，係解方法，有 S 嘅。Ventilation 係即係啲通風系統 such as air conditioning units all contribute to 間低 contribute to 解導致後邊跟一個 phrase 嘅。The number of children unable to comprehend teacher's voice， comprehend 係理解，閱讀理解就係 comprehension 個動詞就係 comprehend。佢講咗學校有幾個因素咧，係會構成呢啲問題。Education researchers 任命飛 have suggested that recent trends 過往嘅趨勢 in learning often involve collaborative interaction 合作交流 collaborative interaction of multiple minds and tools 工具 as much as individual possession of information possession 係擁有資訊或者學業。This all amounts to 又係歸咎於或者導致啦。Heightened activity and noise level which have the potential to be particularly serious for children experiencing auditory function deficit. A noise in classroom can only exacerbate the difficulty 間低惡化咗 exacerbate 即係加強啲負面嘅嘢 exacerbate 咗個 difficulty 即係加深咗 preposition 跟 ing in comprehending 加深咗啲乜嘢咧？就係去理解同埋 process 一啲 verbal communication。我同你傾緊偈咪 verbal communication with other children and instructions from the teacher。第二段講到學校咧個 setting 咧係點樣，即係個 teaching practices 啊、organization 啊、decks 啊，跟住個 design 啊、嗰啲 mechanical means 啊、ventilation 啊、air conditioning 都會影響到 teacher 嘅 voice。C. Children with auditory function deficit are potentially failing to learn their maximum potential because of 跟呢個 phrase 間低 because of 後邊唔可以跟動詞。Noise level generated in classroom and the effect of noise on the ability of children to learn effectively 有效地。In typical classroom environments 呢個字讀 environments not environments are now the subject of increasing concern 即係越嚟越受關注。乜嘢越嚟越受關注？ The effect of noise 去影響啲小朋友咧 effectively 呢一樣嘢係被關注呢個問題。International Institute of Noise Control Engineering advice 呢個 advice 係名詞，動詞係 advice 呢個 advice 係名詞。 世界衛生組織 World Health Organization 呢個字一定要識啦，上到大學一定讀㗎啦。Has established an international working party which includes New Zealand to evaluate 去評估 evaluate noise and reverberation control for school rooms。咁因為受關注啊嘛，咁所以世貿就建議係要 control 佢，即係引起第 C 咪就係引起國際組織嘅 concern。What are the detrimental effects 上面出現個 detrimental 第一段第二行呢度又重複 detrimental 一個負面嘅 damaging 嘅嘢 effects of noise in classroom situations are not limited to children experiencing disability. Those with a disability that affects 係個動詞 AFF， 如果轉咗 EFF 係讀 effect 就係佢嘅名詞 ，A 係動詞 ，E 係名詞 ，affect 動詞 ，effect 名詞。The processing of speech and verbal communication could be extremely vulnerable. Vulnerable 即係脆弱，好脆弱 ，extremely vulnerable， 好脆弱即係好受影響，即係 badly affected. The auditory function deficits in question include hearing impairments, autistic, disorder, attention 唔同嘅病啦，病學名唔需要你考試 ，autism。自閉症 is considered as 一個乜 disorder that cause 乜 in the way information is processed。自閉症就係話係一啲好長遠嘅一啲 illnesses，disorder 即係 illnesses， 有啲 illnesses 係醫到，有啲 illnesses 係醫唔到。And this disorder is characterized by interlinking problems with social imagination。會影響社交，會影響你個想像能力。social communication 會影響 social interaction， 點樣 interact 啦，點樣 communicate 啦，同你點樣 imagine 啲嘢。According to 一嚿嘢呢個人啦 ，this affects ability to understand and relate in typical ways to people。typical ways 即係傳統嘅方法，正常。有自閉症嘅小朋友去睇嘢同我哋睇嘢唔同，佢哋唔係用一個 typical ways 去睇嘅。Understand events and objects in the environment to understand or respond to sensory stimuli。Autism does not allow learning or thinking the same way as in children who are developing normally。用一個 relative pronoun 駁落去，所以 relative clause 你要識。Autistic spectrum disorder often result in 即係導致，你唔需要用呢個字，用 lead to 或者 cause。Major difficulties 係個名詞。difficulties 係個名詞 in preposition 跟 ing in comprehending， 講咗好多萬次 preposition 跟 ing 啊，會導致佢個 verbal information 同 speech processing 都會有影響啊。And those 即係嗰啲人啊 ，experiencing these disorder 遇到呢啲問題嘅小朋友 often find sounds such as crowd noise and noise generated by machinery painful and distressing， 覺得啲聲音好痛嘅，好唔舒服嘅。And this is difficult to scientifically quantify， 好難去科學去解釋。定句記 difficult to scientifically quantify。As extra sensory stimuli vary， 動詞 vary 解 change 嘅意思 ，change greatly from one autistic individual to another, but a child who finds any type of noise in their children or learning space intrusive is likely to be adversely affected， 負面影響 adversely affected in the ability to process information。呢度就開始講佢唔同嘅 disorder， 唔同嘅病係點樣影響一個小朋友。F. The attention deficit disorders are indicative of 乜 disorders and characterized by difficulties with sustaining attention, effort, persistence。attention 係專注啦 ，effort 努力 ，persistence 係堅持啦 ，organization 組織啦。The children experiencing 有啲字冇解，你要自己 check。Children experiencing these disorders find it difficult， 簡單 find difficult 即係覺得好難啦。To screen out unimportant，important 係重要 ，unimportant 係唔重要嘅 information。And focus 一定跟 on 嘅。Everything in the environment while they're attending to a single activity and background noise in the classroom becomes a major distraction， 分心 distraction，which can affect their ability to communicate。都要講咗咧，呢個 attention 即係專注力不足嘅小朋友咧，會遇到咩問題啦？原來佢好難去 screen out 一啲 unimportant information， 所以係有記唔係有記，咁記嚟記都記唔到啦。第二咧就係佢哋好 focus on 個 environment 嘅，所以個 background noise 咧反而會係佢哋嘅 distraction。 又學到嘢咯。The children experiencing auditory function deficit can find speech communication very difficult to isolate and process when they set against high level of background noise. And these levels come from outside activities that penetrate the classroom structure, teaching activities or other noise generated inside, which could be exacerbated 又係解惡化啦 by class by room 嘅 reverberation。聲音射完去點講咧？聲音係會移動 ，OK， 佢會反射，佢會折射，會震動。That is unneeded 被動句 B 加 PP unneeded to obtain optimum classroom construction and perhaps a change in classroom culture and methods of teaching, in particular the effects of noisy classroom activities to those experiencing disabilities in the form of auditory function deficiency. Deficits need thorough investigation 全面調查 thorough investigation. It is probable 即係好可能或者好合理意思。And many undiagnosed 係診斷 ，undiagnosed 係未被診斷嘅小朋友，可能好多未被診斷有呢種病嘅小朋友 exist in the education system with invisible 隱形嘅呢種 invisible disabilities, and their needs are less likely to be met 被動句 be met than those children with known disabilities。有啲病係 invisible， 有啲係已經知佢有嗰種病 with known disabilities。開始深入解釋呢種病，有啲人係未 diagnose 未揾到出嚟，但係 classroom 係應該要轉嘅。The New Zealand government has developed New Zealand disability strategy and embark on 解開始做嗰樣嘢 ，embark 跟 on 通常跟一個 program 或者呢度嘅 consultation process 開始咗呢一個諮詢嘅過程。The strategy recognizes the people experiencing disability face significant barriers 面對好大嘅困難 face significant barriers in achieving 困難做咩咧 ？In achieving a full quality of life in areas such as aptitude, education, employment, and access to service. Attitude 態度 ，education 教育 employment 係就業 ，and access to others service 用其他 service 去表達唔到。So objective 3 of New Zealand disability strategy is to provide the best education for disabled people by improving 解通過 preposition ing， 都得係為了。All children, youth learners, and adult learners will have equal opportunities 平等機會 equal opportunities to learn and develop within their already existing local school. For a successful education, for 呢度解對於一個成功 education, the learning environment is vitally significant. Significant 已經解好重要 ，vitally 又係好重要，好重要嘅好重要，即係超級重要哦。一個 effort 搭一個 adjective。So any effort to improve this is likely to be one of great benefit to all children, especially those with auditory function disabilities. 呢一度講咗紐西蘭政府點樣重視呢班有病嘅小朋友。A number of countries, 即係好多咯。Countries are already in the process of formulating their own standards. Formulating 個動詞係 formulate。ATE 微 formulate 即係制定啦，制定一個 standards 一個劃一嘅水平。For the control and reduction 減少 reduction of classroom noise in New Zealand will probably follow the example. And literature to date, literature 一啲文學啦，或者一啲文獻啊，文獻即係做一個調查，結出咗嚟一啲 result 擺咗好耐嗰啲叫文獻。Appears to focus on the effects of school children in general, that teachers and hearing impaired, and only limited attention appears to have been given. 有限嘅焦點似乎 appears have been given 呢個 present perfect 嘅被動句。To those children， 好有限嘅資源放喺 those children 嗰啲學生 experiencing other disabilities involving auditory function deficit. It is imperative 即係 very important 嘅意思。imperative 即係 very important 嘅意思，好重要 that the needs of these children are taken into account， 間低 be taken into account 應該被考慮喎。In the setting of appropriate international standards， appropriate 即係合適嘅意思 ，suitable。International standards to be in the future。作者嘅立場係咩？作者嘅立場有冇叫你去做呢個 research？ 佢有冇叫你唔做呢個 research？ 但係佢話好 limited 嘅 attention 俾呢啲小朋友，我哋應該俾多啲 attention 俾呢啲小朋友。所以考試一定要問你，作者有冇重視呢班小朋友？咁你覺得咧？今日要讀 H 同 I 最尾嗰兩段俾我聽，將我所有 notes 抄低。我今日解釋嗰啲要間晒俾我，做翻 notes 俾我，加油！